Gentlemen, please welcome Robert Jenrick, Member of Parliament.
Well, good evening, Suffolk, and what a great pleasure it is to be here tonight. Now, I think we've got full capacity in this hall, 900 people, so welcome. 1,300 people actually turned up. That is the last time we're going to ask Rachel Reeves to run the numbers for us. Rachel from accounts, she's almost as bad at numbers as Diane Abbott. But don't worry, it could be worse. We could have David Lammy as our Chancellor. In politics, there's lots of ups and downs. Whenever I'm feeling low, I go onto YouTube and I watch that video of David Lammy's appearance on Celebrity Mastermind. Has anybody seen that? Yes. David Lammy, Celebrity Mastermind. That is an offence under the Trade Descriptions Act. I love those questions he was asked. Do you remember them? Which blue cheese is best paired with port? What did he say? Red Leicester. It gets worse than that. The second question. Which famous Marie won the Nobel Prize for Science? Marie Antoinette. And the absolute pièce de la résistance. Which English monarch succeeded Henry VIII? In an instant, he said, Henry VII. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that man is now the Justice Secretary, the Lord Chancellor, and the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. I can honestly say that this is the worst government in my lifetime. And that is why it matters that at the next general election, whenever that comes, that Reform wins, that we kick out this failing government, Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband, Andy Burnham, whoever is our Prime Minister at that time, and that we bring real change to Suffolk, to every single part of this country, and we put our great, beautiful country back on the path to prosperity and success for generations to come. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I chose to join this party. To not just sit on the sidelines, but to be a part of the most exciting, the most energetic movement for change our country has known in my lifetime. You probably have to go back to the early 20th century to find another moment of change like this, where the old party system was obviously broken and was changing, and where a new force in politics had emerged, which gave people the chance to vote for something different and actually bring about the change that our country was crying out for. And that is what Reform is all about. So tonight, I'm actually bringing you a message of hope, that change is possible, that our great country can be set on the right path at long last. But let me begin by saying a little bit about the events that we've seen in the last 24 hours. Because we heard overnight something very, very concerning and shocking. That 3 ambulances had been set ablaze in Golders Green in the middle of the night. Ambulances run by a voluntary Jewish charity that provides emergency care, not just to Jewish people, but to everyone in their community. Now, counter-terrorism police are investigating, but it looks very much like a terrorist attack. An attack aimed at intimidating every Jew in Britain, and an attack on our free society. And if so, it sadly won't be a one-off, will it? Last October, you'll remember, 2 were murdered in the terrorist attack on the synagogue in Manchester. MI5 have stopped 19 late-stage terrorist plots since COVID alone, many inspired by radical Islam, many backed by Iran, frankly. And it's high time that we confront this. Let's be very clear. Over the last 2 decades, we've seen an undeniable, inexorable rise in Islamism in Britain, a radical and intolerant form of Islam. Sharia courts, hate preachers, anti-Semitism on the streets. Yes, the terrorism and violence is mostly conducted by lone wolves or small groups, but it's connected to this wider trend. And this Islamism has grown and is growing. Why? Because far too often our leaders have chosen to appease it. They've been spineless. Well, let me tell you something. Reform. Nigel Farage, Zia Yusuf, our brilliant shadow Home Secretary, will never, ever appease this radical Islamism. We will root it out. Keir Starmer, he has a different approach. Just look at how he handled this iftar event in Trafalgar Square. I don't know if any of you heard about this. Shameful, appalling. You've got a problem with Muslims. You're a racist. That's what he and his party have said about everyone who's criticized this event. But do you know who organized it? A man called Omar Salah. Let me tell you about this man. He's a man who supported an extreme group called UK Cage. One of the key figures in this organization, called Jihadi John, a beautiful young man. He also attended events organized by Hamas supporters. In 2021, Starmer pulled out of an iftar because he heard that Salah was set to be there. So let's get this straight. Starmer says it's utterly appalling and racist and shameful to criticize an event organized by a man who just a few years ago he wouldn't even be in the same room as. What a hypocrite. What a hypocrite. Honestly, there is a weather vane on my house in Newark with more fixity of purpose than that man. But sadly, Starmer's appeasement of Islamists is all too representative of how the old parties have all too often cowed to radical Islam over the past few decades. Let me tell you this. When Reform win the next general election, with your help, when Nigel Farage is our Prime Minister and Zia Yusuf is our Home Secretary, no more. Radical extreme Islamism will be excised from Britain. Hate preachers will be deported. Sharia courts will be outlawed. Mosques fomenting terrorism will be closed. The Muslim Brotherhood will be banned. The IRGC will be proscribed. A reform government will have the courage and the backbone to do what no prior government has done before, including my own former party, to protect our culture and our country. And ladies and gentlemen, a reform government won't just protect our culture, important though that is. We will fix our broken economy. We will cut your sky-high energy bills. Do you know, we've paid the Norwegians over £100 billion for gas since 2021. And where has that gas been drilled from? The North Sea. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the same North Sea that Ed Miliband has banned us from drilling in the British part of. Reform will end this madness. We will drill, and we will keep your bills down. In fact, we'll cut them immediately by scrapping the VAT on your bills. Get rid of the heating tax. We'll get rid of the green levies and the taxes that Miliband has loaded onto them by stealth. In my first budget, as Chancellor of a reform government, I will take £200 off your energy bills. And we'll also cut fuel duty. I don't know if you saw Nigel and I at a petrol station in Derbyshire the other day. Nigel made me get up a ladder and I was like Carol Vorderman. Well, a reform version of Carol Vorderman. I don't think she would have come along. She's not joined Reform just yet. And we changed the prices, we lowered them. Well, let me say this. Every petrol station across Britain will be like that when Reform wins. Because we will reverse Rachel Reeves' ridiculous fuel duty rise and make it cheaper for each and every one of you to fill up at the pumps. And we'll also cut your taxes, both on your income and for all your businesses. You know, all the small business owners in this hall, you know that taxes are far too high right now. Before the election, Reeves said she would raise taxes by £6 billion. What does she do? She's raised them by £67 billion. And they're probably going to keep going up, aren't they? We will bring taxes down. We'll get our economy growing again. How? Well, it's not rocket science. We'll cut the tens and tens of billions the government is wasting every single year on migrant hotels, like the Novotel in Ipswich. Do you remember that? I bet there are many people in this room who couldn't afford to stay at the Novotel in Ipswich, and yet it was requisitioned to provide full board for those who'd broken into our country. Well, as a minister, I closed it, but it should never have been opened in the first place. It was completely wrong. We'll stop the boats. We'll leave the European Convention on Human Rights, and we will end this farce once and for all. We'll stop the billions that are being poured into foreign aid for rich countries. We'll save tens of billions on welfare for migrants. And Ed Miliband's mad net zero schemes? Gone. 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 Why should Steve the plumber from Ipswich have to pay more in taxes so Ed Miliband can give Tarquin a new heat pump or subsidise his electric car? Again, we'll end the madness. We'll cut the waste. We'll cut your taxes. We'll cut your bills. That is what a reform government offers. We'll get businesses here in Suffolk and across the nation growing again, hiring again, thriving again. Oh, and the farmers in this room? Are there any farmers here tonight? A few of you. Well, we will get rid of Rachel Reeves's cruel family farms tax in full. The war on the countryside is over. We will make Britain prosperous and proud once more. Look, I joined the Conservative Party when I was 16 years of age. Over time, it lost its way. So like millions of people across Britain, and I expect thousands, tens of thousands of people across Suffolk, you feel like I feel that we didn't just leave it, it left us. It let us down. It let you down. I concluded that it can't and it won't deliver what Britain really needs right now. And that was painful. It's tough to put party loyalty the way you've always voted to one side and come to a different conclusion. Because reform will fix our country. Everyone in this party. Everyone in this party, from Nigel down, has the energy, the conviction, and the passion to turn our country around. And people across Britain sense it. That's why something historic has happened, is happening. It's why a quiet revolution is underway. People are speaking up. In the pubs, in the offices, on the building sites, in the front rooms, even in the bedrooms, in the north, in the south, in Scotland, in Wales, everywhere that we go, people have had enough. People want their country back. And boy, are they going to get it. I'll end with this. Suffolk has had many MPs of all political persuasions, mostly Conservatives, over the years. Let me let you into a secret. They are trembling in the oak-panelled tea rooms of Westminster. They know that the gig is up. The gravy train is coming to an end. They see that people across Suffolk are turning to the person who, when both parties were going crazy, was the voice of common sense. Nigel Farage. Nigel has backed the change that we need for decades, and now that change is within our grasp. So, if you want to stop the boats, vote reform. If you want to end mass migration, vote reform. Cut your taxes, vote reform. Get an NHS that actually works, vote reform. Have a government that will protect our culture, not shred it, respects our history, not trashes it, vote reform. That will police the streets, not just your tweets, and tackle Islamism, not appease it, vote reform. But to secure this future, to secure this bright future, we've got to fight for it. We've got to fight with all we've got. And you, ladies and gentlemen, have got to vote for it. So please, go out of this hall tonight. Spread the word to your friends, your family, your neighbors. Tell them that change is coming. Tell them that reform will turn our country around. Tell them that there is one man in Britain who will provide the strong leadership that our country needs, and that he is Nigel Farage. And tell them to use their precious vote, a vote that you would not have if Nigel hadn't taken Keir Starmer and this Labour government to court and fought for it himself. Tell them to vote reform on May the 7th and to begin in Suffolk to turn our country around and set us on a path for prosperity, for pride, and for a bright future again. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.